We are live here for Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo on this November 29th, 2021 afternoon, and we're joined as always by John Romano and Chris Aceto. Welcome, boys. It is cold down here in Florida. It's 55 degrees. Actually, it's probably 70 by now, but it was 55 at one point.
It's 48 here.
35 here.
Yeah. Chris just got back from Maryland. Sean Roden funeral, right?
Yep.
Oh wow,
that had to be a bummer. What how'd that go?
I mean, how do funerals usually go? They just, you know, if you actually love the person when you go, they're always an emotional. It hits you in the gut. You know, there's no preparing for funerals for people you love. There's no way you can toughen up before you go or when you're there, or you know, you can't deny the way you feel. Just so that's what happened there. Me, Sergio,
very admirable of you to go, because I know you have kids and you have a lot going on in your life. To you to take a whole weekend to go down to Sean Roden, that says a lot about how you felt about Sean. You know.
Yeah, well, you know, I love Sean. Like, you know, of course, that's the way life is. When people die, then you realize how much you appreciated them. So I went down. Jose went down. Sergio was there, and Stan was there. So, and actually, we ran into their there was a bodybuilder there, very well known. Of course, I can't remember his name. I can look into my text, but there was someone else there who just was there and showed up, and I didn't expect to see him and ran into him, and that was that. You know, how do you do a review on a?
Well, I mean, what was the did you learn anything more about what might have happened, or?
No, I didn't learn anything more what happened, but it just reaffirmed for me the type of person he was, because his family, of course, was there, but his community was there too. His extended family, relatives, but like the quote small Jamaican community was there. People who knew him and grew up with him.
Right. And
people who did speak, spoke the same way I do of him, just impressed with, that he was someone who gave a lot to other people and expected nothing in return. And I mean, it's nice to hear that universally from people. Of course, they're not going to put up people who are your enemies, right? But really, no kidding aside, the people who spoke with him about him, share the same sentiment that I do, is that, he was a man of his word, dedicated to people, always looking out for other people, his family, his cousins, people in the community, goes on and on.
Was Guy there? I don't know if I heard you say.
Yeah, Guy was there. Yeah, Guy, Sergio, me, and Stan. Oof. And let me get the guy, because I'm at a blank. I know you know him. He's a really good bodybuilder.
Kevin Levrone wasn't there, was he?
No.
Oh. I don't know if they even knew each other. I know that was his neck of the woods, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think Levrone actually said that he knew.
Ed Nunn came.
Oh, Ed Nunn. Okay, yeah, that's very nice. I didn't know Ed was friends with Sean. Did you?
Yeah, I knew they were pretty close. A lot of people were close to him.
Yeah. It's tough with these, these COVID times that, traveling and stuff like that. So it's nice to know that his closest friends did show up for that. So we've lost another 3 people in the industry. John, can you believe this? I mean, what the heck's going on here? I mean, and you know what? You can't even blame COVID or anything like that, because these deaths were unrelated to that.
Right. Right.
Steve DeLuca, people know him. He's the guy who owns Painless Pumps, and he promoted shows for Jim Mannion back in the. As a matter of fact, he was the youngest promoter of a national level show. Promoted the teen collegiate nationals back, I think, in 91 or something like that. A couple of years he did that. He was a business guy. He was a guy. He was a pretty good teen national bodybuilder too.
We just had him on After Hours.
He had been asking. I've been trying to get him on the show because he's got old stories to tell. And isn't it ironic? Like, it's almost like he knew he had to make it happen now, because it's like, I think we have this sixth sense sometimes of are, that we're not going to be around or something like that, because out of nowhere, he just showed up on the show 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I know. It was a great show too.
Yeah. The after hour show.
Well, I mean, do we know what happened? He wasn't sick. There was nothing wrong with him on the show. I mean,
he had a couple of medical issues. I know he had hemosiderosis, where you get overload of iron. He was giving blood. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it definitely can, lead you to have heart, blockages. And
so was it a heart? Was it a heart thing? Do we know?
It's one of these. He walked in like Sean Roden and he died in the bathroom. I don't know. He just passed out. No one knows if it's a heart attack related. Was it? There's no information yet. Steve's dad called me and he actually called my wife first, because he called the office because he knew us, because he's from Long Island, the dad, and he said that he told us this and that what happened, and he said he was flying down to Florida from Connecticut to see or from Long Island, I should say, to see what's going on, because he really didn't know very much. He just knew that the girlfriend found him and that was it. So it's just a sad thing,
Yeah, fuck.
He was like, he seemed like he was good. I convinced him to move down to Florida from Connecticut. He was living in West Palm, and he would come across once a month or so and just say hello, take a drive over here. And so I thought everything was good. I said, wow, this is going to be great for Steve. He's got his boat in the water there. He was a real big boating guy. He had an insane Scarab. You would have gone.
Yeah, I remember we talked a lot about that.
Yeah. And, I thought this was going to be perfect for him. And I think, I don't know, just sometimes your number's up, I guess. And we lost another, pretty well-known bodybuilder, Rhonda Lee Quaresma, who, if you remember, John, we had her on the TV show. I'm sure you remember. When the TV show used to be out of my house.
Right, in your bedroom.
And John, in my computer room. John was actually living up in New York at that time, and we interviewed her. And it was a crazy interview. But she was, I think she was like one of the first. Remember when they had Dwayne D'Amelio decided to hold Night of Champions for women that 1 year?
Mm-hmm.
She was in that show. She was like a woman bodybuilder, but she kind of switched over to like figure or something like that for the show. Yeah. It was a figure show. And so she was pretty, she was a 90s bodybuilder, and she continued to stay active in the industry. And she had a lot of, I know Denise Messina was good friends with her, Michelle Brent. And she had found out 2 years ago that she had colon cancer. I guess she was going to the bathroom irregularly, and she went in and got checked out, and it was like, I think it was like stage 3 at that point or something like that. Really, it was really advanced.
Aggressive.
Yeah, and she fought it, and I know a couple of people posted on the post I had put up about her that, she had been going to the gym up until like maybe a few months ago when it got really bad, and I think she just, when you catch these cancers too late and they have a chance to spread, unfortunately, there's really not a lot you can do at that point. So she'll be missed. And then, the third person was Darren Steen, who I didn't really know very much about, but I guess he was pretty close to becoming a professional football player at some point. And I guess he didn't make it, and he directed all his, energy to being a natural bodybuilder and then, coaching people. And he was very, very well liked. I looked at a lot of research and looked him up when I did my video on him. And he was, as a coach, he was very, very popular among his athletes. And it's very sad that he passed as well. So 3 people in 1 weekend.
What's really the most disturbing to me about all of this is that, with the exception of the ones that we knew were sick, that had been slightly, when like Russ DeLuca, we knew, when he was battling cancer, right. we knew that, I don't know off the top of my head, but a couple of the other people, we knew they were sick. I mean, it was, Derek Anthony was sick. I mean, we knew them. A lot of these people, they're just getting plucked out of our lives, like one day to the next, I mean, this kid right here was an aneurysm, right? I mean, out of the blue, you're fine.
He had a hemorrhagic aneurysm. You're correct. Yeah. Right.
So you're fine 1 minute and dead the next, and this is like more than it's becoming a common occurrence. Like when you weed out the other ones, you weed out the suicides and the illness and the whatever. The rest of them are just dropping like 1 minute to the next. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I don't even know what to say but you said it right. I mean, essentially, you have to live every day as if it's your last, because you know what? Because you don't know. We really don't know what your last day is. So don't live with regrets. Don't say, you know what, next year I'll do this, or I'm going to, try to get into this profession that I like, or take up this hobby, or do it now. You know what I mean? Because you don't know. You really don't know when your time's up. And these 3 deaths just prove that. I mean, aside from Rhonda,
technically every single day you're one day closer to death, whether you die at 30 or 80, you know what I mean? So we waste time.
Every minute.
I know so many people that are like, you know what, in 5 years, I'm going to retire and I'm going to do this. And I have this great idea. And then I find out that the person, they retired and a month later they died, and they never got a chance to do what they wanted to do. Don't you hear it all the time? People retire, they move down to their dream home, and then that's it. 6 months later, they're gone.
Right.
It's really weird. It's bizarre almost.
I mean, it's the last few that, I mean, Sean Roden, Billy, John Meadows, George Peterson. I mean, these are just like pluck. Yeah. You're not here anymore. You're not here anymore. One day to the next. It's one thing when you're friends with someone, or you following them, you know who they are, they're sick, they're battling. Then it's, okay, it's horrible, yes, but it's expected. But the majority of these guys, it's just like, that's why it's so shocking. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
That's why, John, although sudden deaths like heart attacks are worse than for family members,
right.
You don't expect it. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, and at least if like, okay, the doctors told you have cancer, family members can circle the wagons and support you and lift you up, or just say goodbye.
Sure.
But the shock is like, we saw Sean Roden on a Thursday, and then Friday he was dead. Fill in the blank, fill in the name. Could be, doesn't have to be bodybuilding related, but just your brother or your nephew.
Yeah, but that's true, Chris. But for us as a community, it's just been happening a lot. A lot. Like I said, weed out the other deaths, but there is a significant number of here 1 minute, gone the next scenarios that are absolutely perplexing at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we send out our prayers and condolences, of course, as always, to all the families and friends. Those are the people who really suffer the most, and during these times when people, pass and stuff like that. So let's switch topics. On an interesting note, on a positive note, before we get to contest coverage, Lee Priest texted me. I'm trying to get him on to join us. I don't think the guy sleeps. It's got to be like 2 a.m. over there.
Yeah, it's 3 in the morning. Yeah.
He's rich now. Did you know that?
Oh, he is?
He won his lawsuit. Yeah, he's rich.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he won it. Yeah. He actually sent me the trial, all the settlement and everything. I'll let him tell us if he can.
Oh, good. Good for him.
Yeah, he's loaded now. Now he can tell everyone to go fuck themselves.
Well, right? he can move out of the dumpster Sean Ray said he used to reside in.
Chris, I'm so glad you brought that up. Because I have to make a comment here. Okay.
Make 2, but go ahead.
Oh, well, you want to go first?
No, but if it's about Sean Ray, make 3.
It is, yes. So, well, it's Sean and Sean, actually. So on my show with Rich, I commented.
Can I pause you there?
Yes.
How beloved is Rich?
Insane.
How hated is Sean?
Totally.
Continue. They came up together. They were right.
That is an incredible dichotomy and a good explanation of what I'm about to say. I criticized Sean's apology to Sean about Sean and the way he threw him under the bus and the other shit that he's been saying. And my criticism was, I thought probably for me, diplomatic at the very least. Okay. I didn't consult him. I didn't criticize him personally. I criticized his handling of these situations, how the apology was insincere and probably forced upon him by one of his handlers, and really didn't hit the mark at all. And I continued by saying the industry probably needs or would benefit from some kind of oversight or PR person that is filtering things like this before they go out and give us all a black eye, like we need another one. So that was all I said. Well, Sean is all upset that I was doing that. And it's kind of funny to me that the guy who's known for criticizing everybody and everything gets his panties in a wad when I criticize him. Yeah. So, Sean, I'm sorry you feel that way, really, but I'm sorry. I'm right. You acted terribly. And if you want to try to, defend yourself or make it right or make me wrong, all you're doing is digging your hole deeper, bro. You need to pull your head out of your ass and accept the fact that you fucked up. You do have a tendency to use your mouth more than your brain, and you get yourself in these problems, and then you need to filter. And I'm sorry, bro, but that's just the way it is. And you can be down on me about it, but find somebody to disagree with me.
Yeah, well, that's the point. There's nobody around really who will come to his rescue, other than Jake Wood apparently, because he's still going to be, that's it's still in the pipeline until I hear differently. Then Jake's, gave his, by definition, has approved by not making any statement. Crickets.
Yeah.
Same thing with Pittsburgh. Same thing with Pittsburgh. Yeah. With the Ifbb and PC, until you say something about it, then you know what? You're in agreement with it. You can't be wishy-washy in something like this. It's not criticizing. It's not being critical of Sean Ray did a review of the Olympia and he had Brandon winning over Ramy, or he had Hardy over Brandon or Hardy over Ramy. It's way beyond that.
Yes.
To sweep it under the rug is disingenuous. And it's irresponsible because it allows him to continue the diarrhea of his mouth. So as far as I'm concerned, both of them are complicit. Jake has not said anything, neither is Jim Mannion.
Well,
something needs to be said.
He works for Jake. He doesn't work for Jim Mannion, right?
Well, you know what? He does you know what? If the truth hurts, let's talk about it. That's the name of the show.
Yep.
Jim Mannion is not like an NPC New England rep. He has all the clout to be able to influence something here.
Yes.
And you know what? Maybe they'll roll out Bob Ciccarello and say, well, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Well, you know what? We don't want to know what's behind the scenes because it was thrown in our face so aggressively,
right. Yeah.
And continued even when the entire world jumps on him. He wants to strike out at John Romano for speaking the truth.
Well, he told Ron Harris that I called him up and tried to get him on the show, and that's not true at all. He called me, and my wife can verify because she was there when the phone call came through. So he obviously wanted to talk about this, on his own. He claims that no one put him up to, calling me and getting me on the show. I thought originally that that someone else told him, hey, why don't you go on Dave's show to talk about, the situation? And he said, no, it was him, but I didn't ask him. Matter of fact, I didn't even think he was talking to me, to be honest with you, because he blocked us on Instagram.
If
you know what, it all reflects bad on him, but he has no shame. But it reflects bad. That's why I dragged him in, because you're tied to him closer than you think. That's why it reflects bad on the Olympia, and it reflects bad on Jim Mannion too. That's not me saying it. That's everyone saying it everywhere. I just dare to say it here on the show.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone else dares to say it, hide behind Big Guns 325, on Instagram or Facebook.
But you made a good point, Chris. It's not like he was criticizing a physique. Like, when we did our Olympia wrap up, I criticized, didn't really criticize. I said that I didn't think that James Hollingshead was going to, be in Mr. Olympia. And people got all bent out of shape about that. And then, I went on to say, he's going to make good money in the industry because I think he's very popular. He'll win shows. He might not win the big ones like the Arnold. And I said, look, Branch Warren, had a structural issue with his physique, and look how popular and incredible he did. And everyone's like, Dave's lumping him with Branch Warren. Yeah, they're trying to get like me in trouble with Branch Warren, as implying that I was saying that Branch Warren wasn't a good bodybuilder or something like that.
Listen, I listen, Dave.
It's all about this stupid fucking cancel culture. Everyone's trying to, anyone who's got any kind of clout or a voice, we got to put him down. Let's put him down. I mean, it's like me saying that that big guy, that big bodybuilder needs to put on more leg size, just like Arnold had struggled with leg size when he was, Arnold, you're denigrating Arnold. No. Making an analogy. That's all.
The thing is, though, it's the point of difference is, especially in bodybuilding is all about criticism. That's the name of the game, is stand up, let's critique you, let's compare you, let's criticize you. That's the name of the game, okay? But to go and so you can say things like that, Dave, he's got, might not be a Mr. Olympia, but he's going to do this. That's supposition. There's nothing wrong with that. For Sean to say so-and-so didn't place well because he's having marital problems, without even knowing the guy, there were no marital problems, and that comment is completely
right. But what I'm saying, John,
just to hold on, just to clarify John's point, John Ray said that as a paid analyst while the show was happening live at the Olympia about Jose Raymond.
Right.
Well, my point is, though, that Sean is still going on, and these people are trying to say that I'm like this terrible person because I was critiquing a person's physique.
John, the head judge. I can disagree with Steve Weinberg and say, Steve, which we'll get to actually about the Arnold. I'll bring that up. When it was in Brazil, but I can disagree and say, Steve, how did you not have so and so first? He said he could say, he's not tight enough. Okay, I get it. And I can criticize Steve in this way. I think Steve, dropped the ball here. He should have went for condition. That's my personal preference. We're still talking about his analysis of how he judged. But if I said, I heard Steve's having family problems or marital problems,
right.
What's that got to do with anything? And I would expect if I said that he would come over and want to clean my clock. Right. And you know what? I'd be defenseless. Well, why'd you say that? Well, right. Is that a real treadmill you want or what?
It's the $6 million man. Look, he's running.
He just bought the treadmill.
Come back. More slow motion. Hey, my mum named me after Lee Majors.
Did he? I thought she should have named you Austin, Steve Austin.
No, there was some other actor called Dwayne. Back in the day, there was an old-time actor called Dwayne. I was almost going to be called Dwayne before The Rock, but then the $6 million man come on TV and she liked Lee Majors.
Oh, there you go. So how much are you worth now? 20 million?
Hey, look at this. This is the disco lighting in the gym. Now, Merry Christmas. No, but did you see the payout? Yeah, I got a good payout, but then I didn't know that here in Australia,
they took a third of it. They took a third.
Yeah, I pay into private health, right? I pay $300 a month for private health. When I had the neck operations, private health paid for it. But because I get a payout, and here comes private health, that money we paid for your operation, we're taking that back.
Can you believe it?
Medicare.
How much did you get?
A bit like 600,000.
He could buy.
Let's just say
nice cars. He could buy some really nice cars with that, John.
Hey, this is Australia. That'll get me one nice car.
You're right. They are overpriced. You should move to the US.
You have to trade in the Mustang to do it.
A Dodge Demon. He's 320,000.
What? Oh my God! Holy shit!
Oh, yep.
That's insane.
They're like 70 grand here.
Even our private health care here, we have universal health, right? Medicare system. I think from doctor's visits, going to the doctors, they paid $8,000. Guess what? We're taking that back.
Wow.
So the money that the insurance paid for your surgery, they're taken out of what you just were awarded to pay themselves back?
Even the government health here that I pay for with my taxes, or they have like a Medicare levy, everything you buy goes to that. They paid $8,000 in doctor's visits, like over 7 years, to get referrals to go see other doctors. They're taking that back.
Fuck.
Yeah, so you went from 600 odd down to, it just keeps going. I'm thinking in a week I'll have enough for a Happy Meal.
They're gonna send you a bill. You're gonna owe so much. You're gonna back in the hole. After we calculated everything, you owe us $14.25.
Yeah. Hey, with our government, don't laugh. That's probably true.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're not allowed out of your house to go spend it anywhere either. So.
Oh no! Well, they're talking about lockdowns again from the new Omicron, or isn't it just moronic spelt difference, that new variant?
You know what? New York has now surpassed Australia in ridiculousness. They created a state of emergency in New York for the new variant without any cases. None. Zero cases, but they declared a state of emergency.
What's interesting is that, John, is that Australia is locked down. Like, you can't even leave your house. How are they getting any new variants there at all? Unless people are they're flying planes over and dropping it down on top of them.
It blows over the Pacific Ocean, Dave.
Yeah.
It's in the Dave.
That's the point I want to make. You can't get a tuna sandwich into Australia without them taking it to the airport. Where's it coming from?
I tell you how it's getting here, Dave. It's quite simple. Page 39 of the script. New variant comes into Australia. Just read it.
Unbelievable. Hey, did you guys see it? John pointed out to me. I looked on Nick Walker's page. We had it on Muscle in the Morning today. Nick Walker looks like he's 300 pounds, this guy. Look at how big he is.
Look at the size of this guy.
He's looking good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a week at the Chinese buffet, man.
He's lean too. He's very lean.
That is insanely lean to be.
As long as he's staying healthy, I'm all for it. As long as he can keep his health there, I'm all for it.
He just has a lot of muscle. You know, when you take a guy who looks like he does, in contest shape, and you just fill him up a little bit with like glycogen and add 20 pounds of hydration to him, he's going to look. That's what he looks like. I mean, really, essentially. I mean.
Is he going to stay like that, though? Because, after shows, we all get to that point where you look really full and big, and you try and hold on to it for as long as you can, but then it just, bleh.
Yeah.
It just
I don't know if
he
ever does he get, I don't think he gets fat anymore. I haven't really seen him.
Does he get like I used to, Dave? Is that what you're trying to say?
No one gets like you did. No one gets like you did. What people don't realize is you didn't use any gear in the off season either. That's probably why you got so fat, too,
Hey. Why you got to use the word fat? I'm on the treadmill. Look, this is the new healthy podcast. We should all do it from the treadmill from now on. So what are you going to buy with all that money you got? Nothing.
No, I don't believe it. You're going to spend it.
Nah. See, it's one of those things when you come from not having money, from coal miner background, your dad works in a coal mine and that. Yeah. When you don't have it and you get it, you just want to hang on to it for as long as you can.
You ever hear that song, "The Coal Miner's Daughter"? That was Lee.
Yeah.
What you should do is you should consult with Chris and have him help you invest it.
Yes,
is what you should do.
Except with that money, you wouldn't even be able to buy one house in Australia. That's the
anywhere. Everything's expensive everywhere.
A block of land here is like a block of land. My friend just brought a block of land about 30 minutes from here in the country where it's meant to be cheap. The land was $340,000 for not much land, enough to put a house on.
Well, you should put some down on an apartment building.
Why is Australia so expensively?
Well, the average wage here is pretty high. Like, if you're a young teenager working at McDonald's, you get like $18 an hour. So, but what we had here years ago, we used to have this thing called it's like 3 initials, like CPI or something like that, where houses and that could never go up more than what wage increase and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But the government got rid of that, so now houses and all them are going. Where I live here, you've got houses that were built 80 years ago, 2-bedroom on a block of land. The cheapest one's $890,000. Just look up home prices in Australia. It's a joke.
Wow. Now, are these Australian dollars or U.S. dollars?
Australia has the best. You know what? Australia has some of the best luxury homes anywhere. I subscribe to some like Australian real estate, like luxury homes. And it's just, yes, I know Dubai people can make beautiful homes on the water. And I know they can do it in California, in Florida. But there's so many different places in Australia where the homes are just absolutely.
Especially if you look at
Melbourne
Sydney,
Beach, Spencer?
No, Melbourne is but go online and look at Point Piper in Sydney. You're talking homes 60 million plus because you got the view of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and they're spectacular.
Lee, I was just looking at a house. I'm dead serious. In Sydney Harbour, it was 39 million. It had this infinity pool and the bridge in the background, and I mean, just
39 million.
Yeah, that's Sydney Harbor standard probably, right?
Wow.
If you put in 38,400,000, I'll give you the other 600,000 in the garage.
We'll be partners.
You can buy the Olympia for that money. Holy shit.
But in all seriousness, you could put a chunk of that down on an apartment building, finance the rest of the rents paid a note, and you could end up paying that off rapidly and have a good nice
I'm going to invest
That's the Chris Aceto business plan right there.
I mean,
I'm investing 600,000 in Fiberlize.
There you go. That's a solid investment right there. We sold a lot of Fiberlize on Black Friday. I'll tell you that.
I bet you did.
Yeah, we got the Cyber Monday sale too. If you guys want to check it out.
We're doing
There's always a sale. Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
There's always an excuse to sell something, right? That's the truth. All right, let's talk about this. First of all, talk about the Big Man Classic. A lot of people think it's a terrible name. I actually like the name, the Big Man. I went to school with a kid named Scott.
I think it should be called Big Cis Male.
It's misogynist.
That might be. It's not politically correct. You're right, Lee. I didn't think about that. You know,
it's sexist, misogynist, exclusive, non-inclusive, xenophobic. I'll think of a few more too in a minute.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Angel Calderon wins the. He becomes the second man this year to not only win a 212, but to win an open class and qualify for the Open Mr.
He's got a great physique.
Giant killer, Lee.
Yeah, he's a great physique on him. He's from Brazil, isn't he?
Nope, from Spain.
Oh, well, that's
hometown boy. You know, Chris, we talked about Angel. We always said that, you know, he's got such a freaky physique that he would probably do better as an open guy than as a 212 guy, because he's got, like, you know, a lot of mass, and maybe his waist is not that small, but he's got so much muscle that he might do it better in the open. Do you think that he should stay in the open?
I mean, you know, he probably would do well in a lot of open shows, but he can win a lot of 212 shows as well. I mean, it's, you know, he can go both ways.
Yeah, he won
because
Romania.
Of course he can, you know, bring in great condition for the open show, and you know, all these open guys, you know, to some degree they're not as tight as the 212 guys. So what he can bring is just, you know, in the open class, still a lot of muscle and more condition than several, if not many of the open guy competitors.
Yeah.
I mean, he can go both ways. You know, he can do 212 and open.
Do you think that Angel got the nod here over Amir because of the fact that he had the hometown advantage?
Yes, I do. I don't think he I thought he looked absolutely great, and I would have given the win to, I think I would have given it to Amir. I think it didn't hurt at all whatsoever. I think if it was in France or Germany or Brazil, I think it would have gone the other way.
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility.
Angel had great condition, and Amir had absolutely 100% lights out, good night condition. So if you're a conditioning guy, I would go with Amir. That said, you know, Angel has a bulldog spark plug type physique. You know, it's rugged, it's dense. I mean, you can't overlook that as well. I just think that at the end it came down to, you know, hometown advantage.
There's put up a picture of Amir. And now Amir is German nationality-wise, but ethnically he's from where, Chris?
Montenegro,
and he's only 22 years old. So this guy's got a huge, bright future.
Yeah, he I mean, he just got his pro card. He went from 7th to 4th to 2nd. And to get the pro card because of COVID was enormously stressful, because I think 5 shows were canceled, literally.
Wow.
And, you know, one show, like I said on the previous show, he got to Russia. I said, there's no one going to beat you in Russia. And he got to Russia, and they said, we just closed the country. You have to get right back on the plane and fly home. But if you had come yesterday, you could compete.
Yeah. Look at that back double. That's pretty freaky.
Yeah.
Would have been better if he turned his head.
He does turn his head. He
does have a Cutler-ish look to his physique, right?
Yeah, he does.
He's got young muscle, good metabolism. That's what he's got going, and good genetics.
Yeah. I think in another year or two, if he continues to put on another 10, 15 pounds, he's going to be deadly,
Yeah, we're going to put on 30 and blow out his gut, so it's like hanging over his knees.
He'll definitely be winning pro shows.
So people can say he's better last year when he was 22.
Blow him up.
Yeah, exactly. What about Danny Kaganovich from Israel? 3rd place here.
Yeah, he's very good. Round, in good condition, young, excellent.
He's almost got like a classic physique, but with more muscle. And if he can add even more muscle to that, I think he's really dangerous. This guy.
Yeah, he's got the right lines. He's got the right lines, and small waist and big taper. I mean, he's people don't know who he is. Compared because he's not right. People generally know who came out of the NPC and the USA's, the Nationals, USA. We just, even with lack of magazines, we just generally recognize him as quote better, right? But put this guy in the USA, and just turn pro, he'd win it for sure.
Yeah, is this the best pro athlete out of Israel? You think?
Yeah, without a doubt.
You're going to get Amit contacting you now.
I know Amit's there. There may be a dispute.
He's going to be texting you and emailing you off the hook after you said that, Chris. Really good. I was very impressed with these.
Yeah, so was I. He looked tremendous.
Now, next week is that next week the Toronto Pro?
Toronto Pro is in a week. Yeah, within a week. Yeah, next weekend.
Who's going to be in that show? Is Amir going to make it out to that one?
He's trying to get a visa right now. So, you know how that goes. It's difficult enough probably coming, last minute, but throw in COVID, throw in a new variant. The statistical chances of them saying, "Oh yeah, go ahead,"
It's crazy. There's the top 3 right there.
Isn't that Steen guy doing Toronto, the one that went to Sean's funeral?
Is Stan DeLongo doing it?
Yeah, Stan is doing it. Yes, he is.
How's he looking? Masks?
What's that?
They had masks on stage. Yeah. The Europeans.
Oh my God!
You don't want to catch anything, John.
They didn't want him sneezing on the judges that were 20 miles away from them, probably anyway, right? I don't know. Crazy. Why they would put masks on them on stage, I have no idea. I can understand backstage, but
I can't understand anywhere. It's retarded. But whatever.
Kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous if they're going to be if they're going to be on stage with themselves. You can't even tell who's who.
Kind of ridiculous if they're going to be on an airplane anytime going like this in between shifts.
Right. I think will the Ifbb make it mandatory to get vaccinated to compete? You think they'll do that? The other question.
What?
Good luck with that.
The Ifbb force you to put something in your body? Are you kidding? I'm not putting nothing in my body. My body's my temple, Dave, and I ain't injecting nothing into it, okay?
Listen, Mark Zuckerberg over there, keep it down just because you got a lot of money now. I don't want to hear it. He thinks now because he's rich, he can say whatever he wants,
Hey, actually, with that money, I should start my own Instagram because I keep getting hacked and kicked out.
That's right. Maybe you can start your own social media thing,
What you should
I'm on my third
hire
account.
somebody to do that for you.
That's right. Yeah, because you're rich now. You don't have to do it yourself.
Well, that old account of mine, the people are still writing to people saying it's me. And now, how's this? People sent me screenshots, and they're actually using the C word to try and sound like me. But the English is still broken, so it's like, yes, mate, cunt, it's me. Such and such. Because they obviously look back and see how I talk, so they're trying to sound like me in the DMs to people.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Everyone wants to be like the rich guy. That's what
everybody wants to be Lee.
Oh Jesus, God help him.
Are you gonna get like a live-in maid now?
I've got one myself.
Well, I'm saying now you can
I'm
hire
the type of
someone,
person. I'm the type of person when I stay in a hotel and I check out, I fold the dirty towels, I make the bed, I do whatever. I'm that type of person.
Wow, that's good. The maids must love you. Yeah.
I'm an OCD type of lunatic.
Let's talk about this muscle contest, classic physique division. Chris, another guy you helped. You had a good weekend this week.
Not bad.
Talk to us about Ramon.
Ramon is, he's a legit threat to win the Classic Olympia next year. I mean, the guy's never been on a plane until traveling to Spain.
That's crazy.
To qualify.
Wow.
He qualified there for the Olympia, went to the Olympia, got 5th. You know what? He could have easily been
higher. Yeah.
Higher, and no one would have sneezed. I think the problem was. I think the problem at the Olympia is simply that inexperience. Was only his second pro show, and just the excitement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Steve Weinberger moved him from the outside a little bit closer, right next to Chris Bumstead. So he gave him the chance.
Yeah.
And he measures up really well because he's taller. He's wider. He's got some strengths that Chris doesn't have, and of course, Chris has the polish that probably no one else in the class has. But I think he's legit, to win next year. I'm not saying he's going to win, but
right.
If you want someone, if you want someone to best line up with the champ, who better than the guy who's got the same proportions of him? Then you're not getting into this Ramy versus Hardy, Ramy versus Brandon thing. You're getting, versus apples and oranges. You're comparing straight direct, right. Apples and apples.
Right. And let's face it, we love Bumstead. We love the fact that he's so dominant, but after a guy wins a couple times, you want to see the champ challenged at some point, right? I mean, it happened with Dorian. It happened with Ronnie. We wanted to see someone knock these guys off. I mean, is Ramon the best chance? He might be.
I think he is, only because, like I said, they're the same height. They take up the same space on stage. Yeah. They're very comparable in terms of structure and flow and all those things. And you're right. I mean, Chris Bumstead's the top dog, and everyone loves the top dog, myself included. But you know what? You want to go to the Olympia and go to a prejudge, and you have expectations. No one's going to beat this guy in the classic or the open division. Then all of a sudden, prejudging gets going. The minute it gets going and someone's challenging the winner, the whole crowd gets on the challenger side. Sure. It's the Rocky Balboa. You know what I mean? It's the Rocky theme. That's why we love the Rocky movies. That people get, root for the underdog, and he's the underdog, and we'll see how it pans out.
And I think his height also and his structure, like you said, is really what's exciting, because he's got the ability to stand next to him and match him, size wise.
Yeah.
And we don't see that from all the, some of the shorter guys that are great, like the Ruff Diesels and the Breon Ansleys. They're just they're shorter versions of him. It's almost like the Arnold versus Franco thing, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. I mean, I thought when I saw Ruff Diesel come out at the Olympia, I said, well, here is the winner. How can he not win?
Right.
And then when they compared him to Chris, I was like, okay, Chris just is a bigger, looks great against everyone. So does Ruff Diesel, but you're giving up a lot of weight and height and space on stage, to the extent that your eyes generally go back to Chris, as great as Ruff Diesel was at the show.
Yeah, no, you're right. So next week we have this the Toronto Pro Show coming up. This will be the final pro show of the year, and I guess they moved it. This used to be in what was it, usually April, May? June?
Yeah, spring or June.
Yeah. So
I think they've kicked the can down the highway, simply because of the COVID. And here we are, right? You try to delay it. Now we got right.
Well, Canada's they're always on lockdown. I think they may be the second worst lockdown country next to Australia.
Possibly.
Hey, I heard Chris mention before about me getting a new dumpster, but now I've got this money, I will be trading in my yellow Ferrari here. It's got great wheels on it, and I've got a red Ferrari. I got a red Ferrari over there too. But I'm going to be trading them in now. So also, Everyone should have one of these. It's for when you get angry. I call mine Sean. Everyone should get one.
I think John. I thought you fell asleep, John, there for a second.
Still here.
These are good. Mine's called Sean Ray. If you ever get angry, you just punch the fuck out of it. That's really good.
Let's see you hit it. I want to see what your technique is since you've been boxing.
I can't.
lately.
I'm holding the phone.
Oh. He's got to get we got to get him one of those Jimmy the Bull.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I can't. I gotta.
It's like the dummy I used to smack on the way out of the gym in New York. Remember, Dave?
Who was that? The guy at the front counter?
I used to walk every day on the way out of the gym. I would smack this dummy in the face, knock it over.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. What do you think if you had to make a prediction for next year? Who would you say? I mean, obviously, probably the next couple of weeks we're doing the year and wrap up. But what would you say is going to be the look of the Olympia, Chris, next year in terms of the men's open and the classic physique? Who do you think we're going to be seeing? Is it going to be the same people in there?
Yeah, I think it's, you know what, I think it's funny you should say that, because someone just asked me, was it yet today, this morning, that's how long I've been up, and felt like yesterday. I mean, you're not going to get, so long as Ramy's in good shape, you know, it's going to be hard to unseat him, just because, you know what, there's just so much of him, you know. So, and then you have Brandon. I think Brandon can have another run. I think Brandon keeps getting better, which is very surprising.
Yeah.
He keeps refining and getting bigger, you know, and he's done everything that he's could possibly do the last couple of years to improve. I mean, he's made improvements, but if he's improved 2 years in a row, why not 3 years in a row?
Right.
I think he's going to be a huge factor. I think, of course, Ramy's going to be hard to unseat. I think the crowd is going to be behind Hardy, but I think Hardy suffers from the knock against him, really. I mean, I was there. I would say my only knock against him is he's not as big as Brandon. Yes, his condition is spectacular, but Brandon's not terrible by any means. And then you're going to have other people trying to make a run at it. And I think those three are going to force out Nick Walker. I think they're going to force out Hunter. I think they're going to force out Ian. I think they're going to force out, because those physiques are really special. Nothing against the other guys, but those guys are damn impressive. And to be able to,
Labrada was fourth though, and he was off. I mean, what about a Hunter Labrada 100% spot on? I mean, with another 5 or 6 pounds of muscle, maybe, you know.
Well, just let's talk about what was at the Olympia. You know, I mean, you know, there was 4 called out at the night show, and people with different viewpoints could say, you know, I had Hardy in this pose because he looked tighter, or they could say Ramy was just too big for these guys. You know, when they called those 4 out. Or you could make the argument for Brandon, you know, side chest, side tricep, best up there from head to toe in terms of, you know, all the aspects how you judge a bodybuilding show. But Hunter was up there, and there's no pose whatsoever where he even compared to those 3.
I think he was holding a lot of water though, too. You know?
Well, in that show, there was no pose whatsoever in which is there any pose that he did at the Olympia when you got to see those 4 next to each other where you would say, I have Hunter in this shot?
No, you're right.
So there were poses where, in that comparison, where you would say, damn, Hardy looks the best here. And there's some way you would say, you know, Brandon's better in these 2 shots. Or all of them, you would say, like, you know what? Ramy may not have the best shot, but you can't deny in the front lat spread, he's like double the size of people. So I think outside those top 3, everybody has their work cut out for them. That doesn't mean, of course, that just because you say it doesn't mean it can't happen, that Hunter can't move up, that these other guys can't move up, but those 3 are pretty much a lock. And then when you get into classic, it's, you know, if Chris comes back, you know, he's going to be, you know, the guy to try to dominate. And, you know, I can't imagine him slipping up and Rough Diesel's unbelievable, and that whole lineup, the classic. Where things can change is in the classic, because as the guys who are getting 4th, 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th have the ability to make big jumps because the depth of the class. People who are getting 6th, Mike Badass, whatever the guy's name is. I mean, I think he was like 7th or something. You know, you could argue that he could be way higher. Right. I mean, there's people in that class who are extremely, extremely impressive.
John, now that we're coming to the end of the year, what do you think, if you had to be a Swami and predict what we're going to see next year, do we see any changing of the guard, or do you think the Olympia lineup is going to be pretty stable from what it was this year?
I hate to say it, but at the rate guys are dying, who knows?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think anything can happen. That aside, I don't know. I mean, there's enough good talent out there now that if it's all going to come down to who's going to get in shape. I was so disappointed this last Olympia that so many guys were off, and if they can fix that, and enough guys come in spot on 110%, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really interesting because there's enough guys at the level now that could, you know, blow the whole 90s stigma away, but not if they don't get in shape. I don't know what this.
Who do you see passing the top 3? Who's the number 1 guy you think who can, like, okay, 3rd?
Hunter Labrada's in that group.
Flex Lewis.
Flex Lewis.
Flex Lewis is coming back right this year.
Flex Lewis is definitely in that group. I'd like to see Sergio. I'd love to see him at 100%. You know,
even Steve Kuklo if he comes in shape.
Kuklo, Nick Walker's going to be a monster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you still got Hadi and Ramy, and you know that.
No, I mean all those guys that you said, Nick Walker.
Who's going to displace the top?
Hunter. The top 3 is like, you know, just take not Ramy. Let's throw him out. Let's throw Brandon out. How do you get past Hadi? I don't see like these guys getting past Hadi, who I think was 3rd. I had him 3rd. But I can totally see where some people say, like, I had him 1st, I had him 2nd. Right. I get it. But just take those other 2 out. How do you get by him? You know, in the front double and front lat square, there's 2 deadly poses.
Deadly.
Crazy deadly when he's like 100% on.
But to that point, I would like to see the 100% to 100%.
Yeah, of course. We all do.
You know, that's what would either diminish or enforce Hadi's anchor position there on the podium, but we just don't see these guys coming in, you know, gunning to kill him. So I don't know.
What do you think, Lee?
Well, I think Hadi better come over June because by the Olympia next year will have like the 50th variant. If he doesn't get over early, he ain't coming in. And as for Big Ramy, I think he's going to slide because contest prep's bad enough, and now he's got 2 wives. He's done. He won't be able to focus and concentrate for his show. It's bad enough with 1 wife or if he's single. So he's done.
Dave, here's me trying to do the show with you. Do the show. Dave, what's your schedule? You'll say, I have to check with my wife. You'll say, you go come back to me. You text me and say, Chris, when can you do the show? I say, I got to check with my wife. And I was right.
He does the same to me. He goes, Lee, when can you do? He says the same to me. Lee, when can you do the show, Lee? I say, I can do it in an hour's time, my time. He's like, well, how about 3 hours? I'm like, then why ask me? Why ask me the time?
Yeah.
Because I know I'll convince you to do it anyway.
And then even if it's 3 hours later, but even if it's 3 hours later, Chris, you'll be ready to go at, say, 4. He goes, I need 20 minutes.
What time is it tomorrow morning over there right now?
It's about 6:10 in the morning. I've been up since 4 already.
Yeah, he was texting me early telling me about his settlement. I couldn't believe it.
Well, I gotta love yous and leave yous now. I'm sure the people will be happy now. I'm clicking off. Oh, that dickhead's going. You're welcome. I got to go to the gym, and then I got to go have breakfast. And I think the Lamborghini dealership opens about. But I agree with Chris. If you're looking for beautiful homes down Sydney Harbour, I think, like I said, I saw on the news yesterday, Point Piper. There's some road in Point Piper that has all the luxury mansions down there. You're talking about $50-60 million. I mean, like, incredible.
Go check them out. Get some pictures for us, Lee. We'll see if we can put a slush fund together.
I couldn't even afford the dumpster at Point Piper.
Well, now that you're rich, they might let you in. They might have heard that you got your settlement. Maybe they'll let you tour the place. You know?
Well, with that settlement money, I could pay somebody in jail to love Aaron Singerman long time.
Nice.
Oh well. Okay, I'll talk to you later.
I gotta
go.
Correct note. All right, Lee. Thanks for joining us, man.
Well, I said I love you. That was.
We
nice.
love
that
you
was
too, Lee.
We love you too.
No,
Lee.
you don't. Stop lying. Bye.
You're a very special boy. Yes.
I'm beyond special, mate. That's the new word, isn't it? Because you're not allowed to use that R word anymore with tard at the end. Special's the new word. Thanks, Dave. You're welcome.
Make sure you put your helmet on when you get in your car, and leave. We don't want to see any
and lick the window. Yeah. Bye.
Window lickers.
Congratulations on your settlement.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Bye.
Hopefully your arm will start working again soon. All right. Well, that's Lee Priest is happy. But I didn't even think about it. He told me all the money he got, and I realized that he can't even buy anything in Australia with it. Really, I mean, think about it. Aside from regular junk stuff,
It's everything's pretty expensive there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why do you think the real estate market is so high there, Chris?
I don't know. I thought maybe the Chinese have the ability to buy there. I don't know the market.
What I don't understand is how they make everyone making money there. Everyone's on lockdown. No one can even go to work there.
Well, I mean, you know what? Right now, it's like everywhere, Dave. You know what? People like, oh, my house in my neighborhood was, 10 years ago worth 100. Now it's worth 3. Well, you know what? When interest rates are 3, if they ever go back to 6, that $600,000 house comes right back down to 400,000. It's like your metabolism,
Yep.
So you think they're raising prices of houses because they're giving easier loans?
Yeah. Well, just people go on how much they can afford. They if you went to the bank when interest rates were 5 and they say, how much can I afford? People don't even care what the hell the selling. They just say, how much can I afford? They say, well, you can afford 500 at 5%. Okay, now it's 3%. What can I afford? Or you can afford a $700,000 house.
Right.
Same payments are.
You shouldn't be buying, is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, God forbid everything comes crashing down. We'll be COVID free with no economy. But it's crazy. Everywhere you go, everyone's like, "Oh, the price of house in my neighborhood, tripled in the last." Everywhere.
It's funny how
that's only valid if you actually sell it.
Yeah, of course.
It's like when
you said it, John. It's like what someone said to me. I went into the post office one day, and the lady behind the clerk said to me, she has a 3-unit building. Should she sell it? She told me what she paid for it. And I said, what did the real estate agent say it's worth? And she told me, so the profit would have been huge. I said, you can never go broke by selling it.
Right. True.
You can, I said, you can only, if you want to play it in your head, you can regret it if it goes down and say, oh, I could have sold it for X. You just got to be prepared for that. Right. Or if you don't sell it and hold it, in 3 years from now, you say, God, I could have sold it.
Yeah. The concept of value is really only predicated upon
what someone's willing to pay.
Somebody else is willing to pay. Exactly. And that goes for art, cars, houses, buildings, everything. It's what is the other person, the buyer, willing to pay?
Listen,
that's how much it's worth.
You know what? For all the negative things I say about the orange gorilla, Donald Trump, when they asked him, reporters don't get it. They said, how do you value your net worth? He says, I just value it on my feeling. I know what he meant. He meant by when he owns 40 Wall Street, whatever it's worth, let's say it's worth, I have no idea, 100, I don't even know, 100 million. Maybe to him it's worth 150, but probably if he held it long enough, it is worth 150. So they were critical of him for saying when they asked him what's his net worth, he said, it's all valued in my head.
Yep. Right.
And there's probably a lot of stuff that he's, had for a building that someone said it's worth 10 million. He said, no, I think it's worth 15, held out and got the 15. It could have taken 1 year, 2 years, 10 years.
Sure.
No, but the interesting point is what you said. You measure value, I guess, in many ways by what someone will pay for it.
That's right.
You know, Dave could absolutely increase the price of Fiberlize by 20% tomorrow. It may hurt sales, but a lot of people still continue to buy it.
Well, I mean, it's like, you know, you get like Zillow, who sends you a thing that says your home is now, you know, Zillow priced at, you know, $585,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can walk around thinking, oh, my house is worth $585,000. Right. But you put it for sale and you only can get $200,000 for it. I mean, well, Zillow
do this. You value it at $580. Zillow values it at $585, and they say, "Honey, let's take the kids out for a long weekend in Manhattan or something because you feel so good." It feels.
Well, it's also the same way in the reptile breeding industry. If you produce a snake that no one's produced, there's no value. The value is whatever someone's willing to pay for it. Right. If no one else has it, you're kind of at the top of the pyramid. So you could say, well, this snake, I have a snake worth $10,000, but until someone gives you $10,000 for it, the snake is worth nothing because it could die tomorrow. So, you know, what something's worth is percent. It's like art too. Like you see these, you know, Chris, we know some pretty big art dealers in our circle, and you know, the piece of art could be valued at 10 million, and someone pays 50 million for it because they want that piece. And then they just blew the whole value out of that. Now that thing is worth $50 million.
No, here's the problem they just created. Okay, the especially with high end items like that, like the Ferrari 250 GTO, it was that $38 million was. You pay $38 million for this car, you have it in your collection. Now you want to sell it. You have to bank on the fact that someone else out there thinks as highly as you do at the value of that car. Otherwise, you're stuck with it, or you're going to get less for it. So,
John, when Bill Gates first finished his house in Seattle, the crazy one on the lake, and it was like it cost whatever. I can't remember the price tag, but I remember reading in one of these real estate books that the minute the final nail was pounded, he lost like 15 million or 20 million on it because the next person down in the food chain would not be able to afford what he built it for. So if he ever died tomorrow and they put it on the market, it'd be like, there's no one around to buy it.
That's exactly my point. So you pay $38 million for a car. You have to think that, is there someone else out there that can afford it?
How could I had sold that car for $38 million?
Bill Gates built his house to live in it, not to sell it. So he wasn't really worried about it. Right. And he had FU money, so it doesn't even matter if he lost money on the
and you know, he was getting ready to, you know, with to launch this whole Corona fraud thing too. So
that's the new. Oh, this is the new house he's got.
I don't know.
Where's he living now? Because isn't he divorced or something like that? Are they getting divorced or something like that?
Yeah, he got divorced.
What was that settlement? Oh my god!
Sleeper Cell might be the stupidest person on the comments, but I just happened to put on my glasses and glance over, and he says, "Are border walls racist?" And I said, "No, we should build." I always say I've always agreed with the Orange Gorilla and say we should build border walls. And people ask me why. I said, because when I come back if I go to the big man show in Spain, I come back and they ask me for my passport. I can't just waltz right into the country. And you remember, you know what? It's funny. You can waltz right in now, but you remember like 15 years ago when you'd come in from like Mexico, you know, or Europe, they'd go through all your stuff all the time.
Right.
Now it's amazing how they just, go through.
For a while, I was on a list. Because coming back in from Mexico, they
searched
me up.
I'm on a list.
I would miss connecting flights. It was disaster if I had to come into the country and catch another flight.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass, but you know how that goes.
Yep.
All right. Well, we want to send our once again our condolences out to the families of Rhonda Lee Quaresma, Steve DeLuca, and Darren Steen, and of course. For all those who went to the Sean Roden funeral, you know, we send out healing energy to Sean's family, friends, and fans, of course. Chris, I know it was a rough weekend for you emotionally, and you did I think that was a good thing. I'm sure Sean's family appreciated you going out there. And that's going to be it for this week. Next week will be the Toronto Pro, our last Olympia qualification for 2022, at least for this year, until next year, of course. When's the next pro show? I guess the Arnold Classic would probably be the next.
It's right around the corner, the Arnold.
When is it? Well,
I heard someone told me 15 weeks, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because it's going back to like March.
That's right, March. Yeah, you're right. That is crazy, right?
No.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting, John, to see what happens now that Arnold, I think, has a new partner there, right? Lorm is no longer his partner over there, from what I understand.
Oh, that's right. That's right. They parted ways.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how the show goes off without the Lormers involved.
Yep. Interesting.
All right. As we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
We'll see it next week, guys. Same time.